How's everybody doing? My name's Nick. I live in the Catskills. That's upstate New York. I do a lot of working on the truck videos like this Ram 2500. And I do work in the shop videos and in the house videos. And if you like that sort of stuff, subscribe. This video is going to be about the 12-volt system I am putting into my Ram. If you haven't been following along, all the links are in the description. There must be more than 20 videos on how I built up this Ram for basically like an adventure vehicle. I can take my family and my dogs and we can go away for a couple of weeks and not have to worry. That's what I'm going for. So let me show you everything I got for the 12-volt system, and probably in the next video or the video after that, we'll install it. All right, let's go. Now, before I start, I should point out, you don't need to go this crazy. You honestly don't even need to go this crazy. This isn't even that crazy, but you don't even need to go this crazy. You could put a second battery under your hood. It is a system that has worked forever. I'll even link to a little kit, not much money, maybe 50, 60 bucks. It's a hookup kit to hook up a second battery that will isolate your starter battery and you won't have to worry. And you could hook up some lights and a refrigerator to that second battery and you'll never have to worry about draining your starter battery. You can use a lead acid. You can use an AGM. That's a little better. It's going to be a little bit more money, but you can use an AGM also. It's still going to work great in the cold weather. They operate at well below freezing, which is nice. But if you want to go a step further, this is what you would do. It's a big jump in price though. If you wanted an AGM battery underneath your hood with a little kit, I mean, it's going to cost you like 250 bucks or something like that total. I mean, if that's what a good battery. This is going to cost more. You're looking at, if you do it budget wise, it's going to cost you over $1,000. That's a budget. That's a budget build. It's like $1,250 or something like that. Let me show you what I have. Let's start out with, we were just talking about batteries. Let's talk batteries. I'm doing lithium. Now, this is 100 amp hour lithium. It's by this company called Weize. I believe that's how you say it, but it's W-E-I-Z-E. This battery didn't cost me much. It was 350 bucks. If you know anything about lithium, that is really, really cheap. And it has all the features that come on a really expensive battery. I'm going to give you a tip. Okay, follow a guy on YouTube named Will Pros. Hit the bell on, right, so that you get notifications when he puts out a video, and watch immediately when he puts out a review video. That's what I did. He put out a review on this, and he said this is the best budget battery he has tested in forever. He said it has cold weather protection, hot weather protection. The battery is built great. And I immediately just clicked the link and bought it for 350 bucks. And then it sold out. It sold out, I think, by the end of that day. So it's really important. That guy knows his stuff and he does a lot of reviews and you will catch a good deal. You just gotta be patient. And that's what I was very patient. I've been collecting all this stuff for this inverter, this inverter I think I bought 2 years ago. So I've been collecting stuff for a long time. This is going to be for a previous truck. I didn't use it. I just kept it. This I bought like 4 or 5 months ago. I'll link to the video where he talks about this battery and it tells you, he talks about all the great things that are with this battery. This is like a $700 battery for 350 bucks. That's pretty good. If you don't know, lithium is like, this is the way it works, is that lithium, you're going to get 80% of what it's, you can discharge it to 80% of what it's rated at. This is 100 amp, I can discharge it 80% of that. AGM is like 50%. Lead acid, obviously, not that much. Lead acid is really, really counting on that alternator to keep it charged up. But something like this, you can hook up a single solar panel to and really not have to worry that much. Now, if you're doing crazy stuff where you got an induction cooktop, yeah, it's probably not going to work out too well for a 100 amp battery. Probably need a second one. The good thing is I can always add a second one. Not a big deal. But I do have solar, and there's so much stuff on this table that the solar is off the screen. Another great thing about lithium, it's a lot lighter. So let's say you got a Tacoma. Look into lithium because it's probably going to be like 1/3 the weight. This solar panel is by the same company that makes that battery, Weize. It's a 100-watt panel. That's all I got right now. I can add a second one, which I'm thinking about doing to have 200 watts. But this was very cheap also. I believe this cost me less than $100. It might have been $95. It had great ratings. I will link it to you. It's got mounting holes on it. It's got the wiring. I'll flip it around here, as they all should, really. You can see right here. This wiring is going to connect to the wires that are coming out of my treehouse, my Sap Outfitters treehouse, my camper top, and it's going to work out fine. Now, one of the complicated things is fusing. It's very confusing. Some systems you need to fuse in between the solar panel and the battery. And the key is, forget about why this is. I'm just going to tell you if you need to. If your short circuit amperage is more than the maximum rated fuse number. These are the two numbers you need. You're going to look at, there's going to be like a little white sheet that you're going to be able to find it on every single ad for a solar panel. Even I'll flash the one up for this one on the screen right now. I believe the short circuit amperage is like 5.7 and the maximum fuse is 12. And that means that you do not need, if the short circuit amperage is less than the maximum fuse, you do not need to fuse it. And if you look, 5.7 times 2, right, is still less than 12. So I can put two of these together into the battery, not have to fuse it. But if I put a third, I need to fuse it. That's important. If the numbers are reversed, if it was 12 and 5.7, obviously, I would need to fuse it, even if it was just one panel. That's the way you know. It's complicated to explain why, but those are the reasons. So if you're interested in doing this, that's what you have to look at to find out if you got a fuse. Next thing, this is another confusing thing. This confused me forever. This is a charge controller. Now, these names, they're so confusing. It's just, this is what screws everything up. In fact, I'm going to grab the box. This says DC to DC, onboard battery charger, right? You see this battery charger. You're just like, I don't understand. How is this thing, what does this thing do? This thing charges my batteries? No, it doesn't. You plug the things that charge your batteries into this, and it controls them. That's the name of this, but there's so many different names. There's like DC to DC charger, battery charger, but the real one is charge controller. It controls the charging. That's what it does. You put in solar, and you could put in this particular case, this is a dual charge controller, which means I can put in solar and I can put in the alternator. And it's going to say, okay, the battery, it needs to be charged. Let's let the charge through. Oh, the battery's charged. We're going to stop. Some really good ones say, well, we're going to default to solar. And then when the alternator is going, but there's still sun, oh, we're going to still use the solar, but we're only going to use the alternator when it's on and then there's no solar charge coming in, if that makes sense. Those are really smart. I don't believe this one does that. This just regulates the current. This is a 30 amp, meaning it's only going to put 30 amps out, which is important. They make a 50, I think, or a 60. I didn't want to go that big. Even if I get a second battery, I'm still good at this 30, especially if I have solar. So that's good. So yeah, this cost me, I got it on a Black Friday deal and it was like $200, I believe. I'm going to link all this stuff in the description, but it's obviously it's Renogy. I don't know if I mentioned that. They've been around for a very long time. So that's the charge controller. Next thing I have, also from Renogy. This is basically a voltage gauge, but it also does a lot more than that. It says amps, it says how long till your battery is fully charged or how long till your battery is drained, how much power are you currently using. This has a lot of great info. This is another thing that's confusing because you have to put in what's called a shunt. A shunt goes in the ground wire. So you break, it's almost like you're fusing the ground wire, but the shunt is that's what's reading things. So you put the shunt in between the ground, you cut the ground, you put the shunt in here, it looks like a big fuse, it almost looks like this. Then you also actually have to power it as well because it needs power. This is a digital readout, obviously, right? But it's more, it has a screen is what I meant to say. It doesn't just have a number. It's got a screen with a bunch of numbers on it. It's really good. But yes, you have to put what's called a shunt in, and that goes in between, that gets cut into the ground wire. Ground wire also, let's talk about it while I got it in my hand. This is a 2 gauge. It's a very short ground wire. I'm gonna go to the chassis on this, and I believe this is gonna be good enough, even if I connected the alternator, which I am not doing yet. And this is another tip, is that I would get a dual charger, and I would definitely be getting solar if I were you, so that you can power up your entire system but not connect it to the car. Why? Because you want to use it for a little while. Make sure everything's running right, because once you connect it to the actual starter battery or whatever you're having, or I don't think you can go directly to the alternator. You go right to the starter battery. You know, it's kind of like, hey, you're connected to the car, and if something happens, something short circuits, and it gets back to that battery and it fries your battery, you obviously got a problem. So I'm not going to connect it to the alternator until I test everything and make sure everything is working. I'm going to use it for months. I'll use it all through the fishing season and make sure that everything is working great and there's no problems before I run that wire from the positive on the battery back. And at that point, I may have to upgrade this. I already think this is overkill for that system, but I might step it up anyway, just to step it up. And in fact, I mean, something like this is like, you know, 15, 20 bucks. It has the eyelets already on it. You know, has the terminals already on it. I'll link this in the description. But yeah, I might have to upgrade. Next thing with wire, let's keep on wire. I have 8 gauge wire, and that is going to go to this. And this is a positive and negative fuse panel. You connect a negative to the battery, and you connect it to this. So negative from the battery to this, and then you can connect multiple negatives to this to ground all your different things. And then you connect the positive from the battery, you connect it to this, and you connect all your different positives, and you can fuse it. It comes with the fuses. It also comes with some cool labels and everything where you can label each one. It's a marine. This is like a marine grade one, so a lot of this stuff has marine names, but I mean, there are some other good stuff like air compressor, amber lights, bumper lights. So there's hazard. So there's some things that I can use in those labels, but you know, if you're not connecting like 10 different things, it's really not a big deal. Okay, let's talk inverter. And we'll also talk about some wires for that, because this is one of the reasons that I bought this. I bought this a long time ago. In fact, I don't even remember how long ago. I'm going to flash it on the screen because I'm really interested. I'll look it up while I'm editing, but it's got to be 2 years. It's an 1100 watt. It's not a crazy one. This is not crazy. 1100 watt. Most people use 1500 or better. This is 1100. And what is it? 1100 constant? That's a really good question. I'm going to look at that right now. It says 1100 on it. So yeah, peak is 2200. So peak power, meaning if you start something up, usually it draws a lot of power for a very short amount of time. It'll be able to handle that 2200 like startup power, or whatever you want to call it. It's got 2 110s on it. And it has some USBs, which is nice. I didn't even realize that. And it's got a little screen that's going to tell you how much voltage you got. It came with the wiring hookup, which I really liked. If you look here, this is 4 gauge wire. Now you might be saying to yourself, wait a second, that's the same. That's because this wire has an incredible amount of insulation on it. And it comes with fuse. It's already got a fuse box right here with the fuse in it. That's really cool. I would say you want to look for one that you can just hook up. I can't remember what I paid for this. I don't think it was much. I think I got a really good deal, and that's why I bought it. I can probably find I'll find the price, obviously. It'll be, you know, in the same thing, because I got all this stuff on Amazon. Oh, no, that's not correct. The Renogy stuff I got on Renogy, I believe. Both of those Renogys I got on Renogy. Battery Amazon, solar panel Amazon, inverter Amazon. Also, battery tie-down kit. This is basically going to make it so the battery doesn't move around. It's just a strap with some hooks. I got that. And I got this. This is important for a fridge. If you're putting in a fridge, what this does is that this allows you to put the wire for the fridge through it, and it rolls up when you slide the fridge in. When you slide the fridge in or slide the fridge out, it's gonna, you see that? It's gonna roll up and roll like this. It's gonna make so that the wires don't get all tangled up and go into your drawer slides and then get clipped. This, I think there's like 10 bucks. I'll link this in the description. These things are super handy. They come in different sizes, really small ones. In hindsight, I could have got one a lot smaller than this. It's interesting. The way they labeled this thing, it says, so if you're interested in buying this, I'm going to explain. This thing is a 10 millimeter by 15 millimeter. Now, 12 and a half millimeters is a half an inch, well, 13, something right around there. So this thing is gigantic. Well, I think what's happening is it's giving me the inside dimension, and I thought this was the outside. So if when you go and look at this, you probably need something smaller than you really think you do. Those numbers are the inside dimension. This thing is about an inch. It's about an inch wide, and it's just gonna fit. It's really just gonna fit. So that's it. That's what I have. I am ready to do this install. Oh, one other thing that I really liked about this inverter, I just remembered, it has a remote switch. If you're looking at an inverter, look for one that has a remote switch so that you can hide this thing somewhere and then connect a wire to that remote switch wire and put the switch somewhere else. Like for instance, right at the tailgate, or maybe you want to put it where you're sleeping. Yeah, remote switch. And it also shows this, it has a status light and has the on-off. And it's a real nice, it has a little escutcheon around it, and it just flush mounts wherever you want it. This thing was really cool. I haven't used it yet. I haven't used any of this stuff, but you know me. It has to have really good reviews, and it has to be a budget option. And I believe I kind of got the best budget options that are available. At least when this company is Krieger. I don't even know if they're still around. But at the time, incredible ratings, really good price. That's why I bought it. All right, let's wrap this up because I got to start installing this, and I will catch you in the next video. Thanks.